Hi guys.
What's going on, guys?
We went live a little premature.
HeathandTracyTV, what's going on?
Welcome to live.
Joyfully Married After live on Facebook.
Glad you're joining us on this Sunday evening.
You know, Tracy and I have been married over 26 years. We have 4 children, and we came to share with you guys today. Wanted to talk a little bit about relationships and what it's like to experience job loss and how to keep things going.
Yeah, there's a lot of job loss going on in the news right now. And we just want to take a moment and talk to you guys about some things that we've been through personally. And and go ahead and share this out if you know someone that has dealt with this or is currently dealing with this. You know, it's a huge arrow in a relationship. So I just thought, we thought it was important to talk about it. We don't know what the economy is going to bring us in this coming year. We keep hearing different things. And it's not something to fear or something to continue to talk about, but it's important to understand the steps that you need to take and some of the lessons that we've learned in our relationship with dealing with job loss.
Right.
It's bound to happen, let's say.
So the first thing as relates to job loss is acknowledging the loss, right? So several years ago, during the Great Recession, I lost my job that I had in Metro Atlanta, and it was at the beginning of the Great Recession. And so I was doing a number of things, going to job fairs, engagement with friends and family, talking with all kinds of folks, right? And it was a little discouraging because, you know, you depending on where you are in the cycle of the economy, sometimes there's job loss. The finding the next job may only take a few weeks, right? Depending on what part of the world you are in and where we are in the cycle. But for me, in my experience, it was sort of at the beginning of the recession, and a number of companies were cutting back, and so it was a very difficult time for us from that perspective. And you know, so that can tug on you a little bit. So the first thing you need to do is just acknowledge the situation, acknowledge the loss. Get with your mate, get with your significant other and say, okay, let's talk about the realities. This is where we are, and this is what we need to deal with.
I think as the partner that didn't lose the job, it's important to acknowledge it. I think one of the mistakes I made early on was I just kept going. Mm-hmm. When you look up and you say, okay, I'm the only one making money here, let me put the blinders on and just roll. And that was a mistake. That was a mistake because I didn't acknowledge what he was going through. I didn't acknowledge the things and the issues he was dealing with. Yep. So because I didn't do that, it caused problems in our marriage, right?
Yeah. It did.
What kind of problems did it cause?
Oh, all kinds of things. You know. What's going on, Latrice, Calvin?
Hi guys. We're talking about job loss and being in a relationship. Some people go through it, some people don't. We just wanted to share our experience. We're fine. We haven't lost our jobs or anything like that.
All is well.
All is well. But we just know with what's in the news and everything lately that we wanted to just talk about what people go through, and some of the mistakes we've made in the past, and what you probably need to do differently.
Yeah, and we want this to be some best practices, right? So that people can call on these and share.
Well, we hope not too much.
No.
Just things you want to think of when this happens, and it's hard. It's hard to think about. What do you talk about? I can't figure it out.
Okay.
What you want to talk about when it happens. So, like he said, the first thing you want to do is acknowledge it.
Yep.
So the second thing you want to do is, as a person that didn't lose a job, you need to improve the communication. You need to be empathetic towards your spouse. You have to be empathetic towards your mate because they're going through a lot of different things. And like I said, my mistake was I put the blinders on, I put my head down, and I just worked. I just worked. And I didn't really involve myself in what he was going through, what he was dealing with. And like I said, it caused problems in the marriage.
Yep.
The third thing you want to do is you want to adjust your budget immediately. Mm-hmm. I mean, like as soon as you get your severance pay, you sit down, you look at your savings, you look at your severance, and you plan. And you cut stuff. Because let's be honest, it's going to be different for a second. And I think we did a pretty good job of that, both, during that time.
We did. And we had to keep in mind that we had children and that it was dovetailing into the summer months.
I think Jasmine was just starting school. She was just starting college. Yeah.
We had one in college, and we had the situation where it was, you have to be real, right? You've got to buy groceries, you've got to keep lights on, you've got to do all these kinds of things. You have to look at your savings, if you have savings, or how significant your savings is, whether or not you need to engage a financial professional.
It's not time to take that vacation you've been wanting.
Right.
It's not time for that. It's not time to go and buy that suit for the job interviews. You need to work with what you've got. It's truly a time to say, hey, this is what we have now. We don't know how long this is going to be. We need to cut, and we need to cut right here, and we need to cut right now. And we made it a family affair.
We did.
We made it a family affair.
Yeah.
We told the kids, look, this is how much we're budgeting for groceries every week. If we buy, don't ask me for 3 more juices. It's not happening. So when everybody's involved in it, it takes the pressure off. It takes the strain off, because your marriage is going to endure that additional pressure as it is.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine, baby.
So adjust that budget.
Adjust the budget.
Immediately. Don't spend the severance. Don't go on that vacation you think you needed because you got so much stress. And don't eat out. Don't eat out more. That's one of the biggest things we cut. You don't eat out because I know you want to. You want to feel normal. You want to feel like nothing changed. It's such a pull to feel like, oh, nothing's changed. We can eat out this one time. No, you can't.
Yeah, same
no,
with retail
can't.
Therapy too, right? It's
you
like,
can't,
oh, I'm going to go and buy this.
Because
I
I'm going to need this for my interview.
I've been looking so hard, and I deserve a new tie.
No, you don't.
And I deserve this.
Get over it. No, you don't. So we were pretty good about that, but I know people. I've known people to stay in the same apartment even though they couldn't afford it anymore. I've known people to move across the country to be somewhere they always wanted to live. I've known people do some weird stuff with their severance pay.
Right.
And you just can't do it. That's not the time to do it. So keep that in mind. So the first thing is acknowledge the loss. The second thing is to make sure you improve your communication with your spouse during that time, because if you don't, that's really going to cause problems down the line. And the third thing is adjust the budget immediately that day. That's what you need to get out the way, because that takes the pressure off. The fourth thing, baby?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we appreciate you guys joining, all the folks who are on the live stream right now. And if you could just let us know where you're watching from, just type into the comment section where you're watching from. We'd love to see that and engage with you guys down the road. So right now, we are, whether you're watching live or on the live stream, let us know where you're watching from. So let's get into number 4, baby. I think this is a good one, because you have to decide right away how you want to deal with that personally, right? So what do we want to share?
What do you want to keep private?
What do we want to share? How much do we want to keep private? How much do we want to acknowledge publicly? Talk with the family? Those kinds of things. Hey, this is what's going on. Or
do you want to say anything?
Right.
Because when you go through job loss, there are things that follow that sometimes. There's sometimes evictions, foreclosures, repossessions. You got to take the kids out of school. Yeah, you have to do a lot of things. Hey, Latricia, have fun in Winter Park. I'm jealous, even though I don't like the snow. I hate the snow, so I'm not that jealous. But have fun. Thanks for joining, and make sure you share it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a point of you have to make sure that you are on point with one another. Is who are we going to let know this? And if so, how much are we going to let know? If we're going through a foreclosure, which we have been through, if you're going through a car repossession, if you're going through anything financial, and you don't necessarily need people's help, do you really want to share it with them? Have you pretty much made a decision on how you're going to handle this?
Right.
And you need to talk to one another about who you're going to share it with. And if you decide to share it with friends or family, let them know. We're not really trying to let everybody know this. We just want you to know what's going on with us right now. We don't need help right now. We may, and if we do, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
But for right now, let's just keep it between us. And that's something important for you and your spouse to agree on.
Yeah, very personal in determining how you want to deal with that. So
yeah, we even talked about, before we went live with this, we even talked about what we were going to share.
Right.
Before, because there was a lot of stuff going on. And I know my closest friends know some things that we went through, but at the same time, we just wanted to make sure that we were one-to-one as to what we wanted to share.
And to that point, I think is important, and that's one of the things that I think that we bring to these kinds of conversations, these relationship conversations, is that when you're talking about relationships, you want to get some advice and some wise counsel from people who've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so no hate on, the 20-somethings and other people out here who are doing their thing, right? So that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that we have almost 30 years of execution against time. And when you've been together that long, you're going to experience things, some good, some bad, and some indifferent, right?
Yeah, and you're going to be surprised what your marriage endures.
Right.
You're going to be surprised on what you can actually make it through. And we just thought, we were listening to the news and how all these different stores are closing and all this stuff going. We have a new administration in Washington and the decisions they're making now, and we pretty much have seen this before.
Right.
And we're not saying that we know what's going to happen or anything like that, but you don't know what's going to happen. So how do you keep your marriage strong? How do you keep your family together through something like a job loss? What's the next one, baby?
Number 5 is network, network, network.
Don't stop.
And this is important because from a networking perspective, it's not just about, hey, can you help me find something? What's going on in your company? Is there a way that you can help me get in the door? Right? But it's also, hey, let me go over here and volunteer. Maybe let me engage with this. Or as I'm networking, you're really going in with no expectations, right? Hey, I just want to learn a little bit more about your company, about how you guys do things. Maybe if there's a fit down the road, maybe that with my skill set, hey, maybe you can give me some advice or some wise counsel around some skills and things that I can add to myself and my resume that might make me more attractive to your business or your company down the road, right? So networking is not just, yo, man, hook me up. I need to get in there, man. I ain't got no job, right? So it's not just that. And then that also connects to your confidence, right? So as you're engaging with employers, when you go in, people want to hire and be around people who are positive, who are going to bring some skill sets and some experiences to their business, who is going to help them elevate their business, and they know it's going to be a good hire.
Yeah, I think one of the times was you started working at church more. You started engaging at church more, and that lifts your confidence level because you're still engaging with other people. You still feel useful. You feel like you're contributing in some matter. You should go and volunteer. You should go and help out at your kids' school more. If you don't have kids, maybe go help at the pet store or something. Come find something that interests you and push toward that and fulfill yourself that way. Helping others always helps you lift yourself up. So when you go to that interview, when you sit down in your interview, that confidence exudes itself.
Right.
If you're not doing anything, if you're sitting at home all day trying to figure out and just looking for job, and just really getting down on yourself, that's going to come across when you sit down for an interview.
It will.
It's going to come across.
And the other thing about that is that it also helps you with perspective, right?
Yeah.
So when you're engaged, when you're volunteering at church or at the homeless shelter, at the food bank, right? It's going to give you some perspective. It's like, yeah, I have a job loss situation, but my spouse is working, my kids are healthy, nobody's in the hospital. And you learn and you're reminded that you're giving and that it's a perspective of where you are versus maybe where somebody else is.
And from a spiritual perspective, when Heath lost his job when we were here in North Carolina, it was for a short amount of time. His attitude about it was very different. He volunteered. He did more things with the kids. He became more involved with their lives because they were going through some changes. And what we saw was increase.
Yeah.
We didn't see decrease. We saw increase, even though he had a job loss. And that's where you go to your faith.
Right.
And I'm going to talk about what my faith is. My faith is Christ. And in Christ, there's grace. And when you trust and you move forward in that faith, miracles happen. So even though we were dealing with the job loss shortly after we moved here, I guess it was shortly.
Yeah, it was a few months after we moved here. It was about 6 months because I had gotten 2 promotions within the company.
Right.
And then we went through this big riff. And so we had a job loss, but the testimony is that we actually had increase in our household because you ended up getting a promotion.
I ended up getting a different job
when I got the job loss, and so it was just a win-win. And that's where your faith and your attitude comes in.
Right, and we can talk about that another time. How one spouse makes more than the other, and how you treat all of that.
Shout out to Joaquin Thompson.
What's Daily Bread?
Like what you doing, Doc?
So the next thing we want to talk about. So the first thing was acknowledge the loss. The second thing was improve in the empathetic communication. Not what you're doing, who you call, where you go today. No, the empathetic communication. How are you feeling today? Do you want to talk about what your boss said on the way out the door? Who else is affected by this? You want to have that empathetic communication.
Right.
The third thing is you want to adjust your budget immediately. Get rid of stuff you don't need. Turn TV off. You don't need TV anyway. I can't remember last time we turned TV on anyway. Turn the TV off. Stop eating out. And no, don't buy anything new. Don't go on that vacation with the severance pay either.
Decide how you want to deal. Number 4, decide how you want to deal with things right away. Talk amongst yourselves. acknowledge, hey, we want to keep this quiet, or we'll say this to the family, this to our friends. I am experiencing job loss. I am looking, but we're not trying to share it with the world, or however you deal with it.
However you want to do that. Make sure you're clear on that communication.
Yep. And then number five was network.
Yep. Number 6 is really important. Open those family connections up again. Make sure your family, you might have been too busy for them before, right?
Yep.
So make sure they understand that, hey, I'm a little down right now. I'm really in between right now, but I do want to come over and eat Sunday dinner with you. I do want to go to church with you next Sunday, Or you know what? Come on over and let me cook out for you. You need to reestablish those family connections again.
Very important.
And don't just sulk in your own little family group alone. I think that's super important. We did a lot of that.
Yep.
We went out to see my uncle out in Rocky Mount a little bit more when he was in between. And it just really, really helps. It just really, really helps lift your spirit when the people that are there for you, thin, thick, whatever, when they're still there for you, that just gets rid of all of the negativity.
Reminds you of that love.
It does. It really reminds you of the love, and it feeds you. So don't neglect those family connections, because they're going to love you anyway.
Yep. Well,
and then the last thing,
number 7,
is remember it's temporary.
It's temporary.
It's just a phase you're going through. It's going to be over soon.
That's right.
And don't let anything during that temporary period affect you or your permanency in your marriage. Don't let it affect the joy, the love with your children. It's just a job.
Yeah.
And you can find another one.
Absolutely.
Or you can create your own.
Absolutely.
That's something else we're going to talk about later, because we have been self-employed before. So that's what you want to remember, guys, that a job loss is temporary. And that this too shall pass. My mother says that all the time.
This too shall pass.
Donna P, this too shall pass.
If you can see it, it's subject to change, right?
Okay.
So that's the temporal, right? The temporary.
It's temporary. Everything here is temporary,
right?
guys.
So just understand, if you have a job loss, if you have some situations in life, use that as a catalyst to get closer to God, to get closer to your family, to get closer to the things that are most important, and keep that good attitude, and you're going to be straight.
If you have to downsize your home, thank God you have something to downsize to.
That's right.
If your car gets repossessed, okay, whatever. I need to get a different car anyway. Whatever it is, look at the good in it, because trust me, there's something good in it. There's a lesson you got to learn. It's something good in it. Look at it and move forward. I can tell you something right now. If I lose my job tomorrow, whatever. I'm going to be okay. So I have to move.
Keep
moving. I got to do this. It's almost like if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
That's right. That's right.
And don't let that ruin your permanent bond. Don't let that ruin the bond with your kids and your family and your loved ones.
Yes. You're not going to ruin my bond with you, baby.
Oh, heck no.
Are you going to wind it up?
That's it. So don't forget to share this out. If you catch the broadcast later, it'll be a little different. We're going to post it to our YouTube channel, HeathandTracyTV.
Yes, sir.
And share it out. Like the page. Go to YouTube. Subscribe, because we post different things there from time to time. But we're going to try to do this every Sunday at about this time.
Sunday at 7.
Yeah, we've got a baseball guy right now. We got track getting ready to start up. We've got some different things going on.
Life.
So, yeah, this thing called life. So we're going to shoot for 7 p.m. on Sundays. Make it short and sweet and quick.
And what we're talking about next week?
We're talking about, this is going to change the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about flirting.
Flirting. Yeah, because you got to learn how to flirt out here, right? Well, a lot of people are missing relationships. You're missing opportunities because you're not flirting.
You're not flirting.
But we're going to get back to that next week.
We'll talk about that next week, guys.
Keep
We love you. Thank you so much for joining. And don't forget to share it out.
And connect.
Connect to God.
Connect to family.
Connect to your significant other.
Your spouse or your significant other.
And we'll see you next week.
HeathandTracyTV.
Bye.
2.